Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video we're going to be going over the Pro Tour results, everything that went on about the event, just kind of talk about it, give you a day one and day two breakdown, and just overall kind of give you, like, if you missed the event, you didn't watch everything, kind of give you all the details and go from there. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. Feel free to check out the Discord and the Patreon to know when my videos go live, as well as get some added benefits, and we'll get right into it. And then also, right before we get right into the video, I want to say I'm not going to really apologize, but I do want to give context to, like, the month of April on the channel. The channel has been a little bit quiet during April as opposed to how May was. May, we had an insane month, really just went crazy with videos and stuff like that. And I think over the course of this month, we've only had, I'd say about, it's looking at it right now between mine with like 5 or 6 videos. Which is really like low for me. Like, a lot of content creators, weekly videos totally fine, but I know people that listen and watch this channel are used to seeing like several videos a week. That's going to be coming back up in May. For me, April was just kind of a relaxation month. I really played TCGs more than made content on TCGs, so I hope you all can understand that. I'm sure you can, but it's going to be coming right back. You expect 3 or 4 videos this week and really just get right back into it. But for this, talking about the Pro Tour event, really just to take 30 seconds, the event itself, they did such a good job, Star City, LSS, the whole team, at just upping the level of entertainment value and content and overall, like, production of the event itself. When it came to the stream, they had filler content in between rounds, which I thought was great, like doing like guess the name of the card. They had how-to videos. They had videos of James White talking about the next set, Dusk Till Dawn, which will be in another video this week. Check it out. I'll give you all the details if you missed that in the stream. Don't worry, I'll break it down all for you. Just did really good on that. Really showed kind of just more consistency with the stream, because one thing with trading card game like tournaments online is sometimes they can get kind of arduous to watch, because yes, you want to watch, but there's like 50 minutes of blank space between each round sometimes, it feels like, especially if a game goes quick. So just really big for that. So really good kudos to them. And on the coverage side, like, you could go on their website and look at like the live stream. They had pairings, results, and standings, and social media updates. They had a whole entire article going through everything that was constantly updated. Just did really, really good. I definitely think you should look at the article. I'll link it in the description down below. Just goes over everything that we'll go over here today and a little bit more. So I wanted to go over the meta breakdown first. So this was the day one results. We had 91. The top 3 are Lexi, Oldhim, and Dromai, which I think most people were expecting. Lexi leading the way pretty substantially at 91 participants. There was 391 total players in the Pro Tour, and we'll talk about the calling here in a second. Oldhim had 72, Dromai had 43. Some notable things in here. I didn't expect this many Katsu. Like, I'm not just saying it just because, the channel is the channel, but like, having 24 Katsu in this meta was pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting it. I was definitely expecting more Azalea and Briar. Like, if you had told me that Katsu was going to have more representation than Azalea and Briar, and it was going to be tied for the 5th most represented deck, I probably wouldn't have agreed with you. So really cool to see that. No Arachne in the list, notably no Riptide in the Pro Tour breakdown, which makes sense. I maybe was expecting like one person to be crazy on a wild hair and take Arachne just because they were going there for fun, but I can understand why not. The other kind of crazy thing, and we've talked about this before, is if you had told somebody 3 months ago that Icelander and Phi wouldn't even be in the top 8 of representation for a Pro Tour, they probably would have told you were crazy, right? So it's pretty nuts how the meta has shifted, only having 15 Icelander and 13 Phi. And if someone had told you there was going to be more Azalea than Phi 3 months ago, they probably would have told you were crazy again. Really, really nutty to see this. So this was day one. Talking about the calling, which we'll talk about the calling here in a second. So kind of just giving you the spreadsheet so you can see it a little bit clearer. Hopefully we'll zoom up a little bit here, see if I can get it looking a little bit better for y'all. Yeah, I can. Okay, sweet. So kind of looking at here, we'll go down 1 just because I am OCD like that. So Lexi made up basically 23% of the day one meta. Oldhim was at 18.5, Dromai was at 11.1, and so on and so forth. When it comes to day 2 conversion, it's not as important in my opinion because half of day 1 was draft. So just because a hero like has really good day 2 conversion doesn't mean the hero was playing that good. It was the pilot, along with the fact that they might have done well in draft. They could have honestly went even in their actual CC matches, and if they, ace the draft pod, then they made day 2. So don't buy into the day 2 conversion a little too much. I just wanted to put it up here because I thought it was interesting. And also when we compare it to the calling is when it gets really interesting on like the differences of the calling and the Pro Tour. So Lexi made up 23% of the meta. Only 3 heroes had over 10% of the meta makeup. And then it dropped pretty significantly with Bravo at 6%. Katsu at 6%, and kind of go on so forth. 391 total players in the Pro Tour. We had 753 players in the calling, which is insane. People were thinking it was going to be over 1,000. I thought it was going to be over 1,000, but we ended up having 753, which is still really good, right? If you look at the calling and the differences, so the top 3 are the same: 133 Lexi, 82 Oldheim, 72 Dromai. As you can see with the Pro Tour, pretty similar numbers. The big difference is these two right here. Azalea and Uziri were massively more represented in the calling than they were in the Pro Tour. Azalea only had 20, if we look at this, she only made up 5% of the meta in the Pro Tour, and in the calling she made up about 7% of the meta. Pretty significant difference, right? And that's with a lot more players. And then you have Uziri, who in the Pro Tour made up almost less than 1% of the meta, right? If I go back over here, made up 1% of the meta. In the calling itself, she made up 7% of the meta. So vastly different numbers for those two heroes specifically. I think a lot of people just saw, people like Levi, Brody on Azalea, and then people like Sam on Uziri, and it really sparked them to want to play the hero. So you probably had a lot of people like, in a positive way fanning over those heroes due to their recent performances, so they really wanted to play. Bravo still had really good representation. Briar saw a little bit more representation. I think the masses of Flesh and Blood will play Briar over Katsu, which is why you kind of see what you would expect, which is Briar more representation than Katsu. Still more Katsus than 5, though, which is pretty cool to see. A lot of these different ones. 14 Riptides, which was really awesome. 11 Arachnes, and kind of went from there. So, looking at it over here, again, only 3 heroes made up over 10% of the meta, but they were the same 3 heroes. The biggest difference was really Uziri and Azalea. They were the kind of the differences from the Pro Tour level. And then obviously we had some Arachne and Bolton representation. I don't have day 2 results of the calling itself, but it looks like the calling top 8 was Alexi, Oldheim, Lexi, Viserai, Azalea, Oldheim, Dash, Oldheim. So 3 Oldheims, 2 Lexis, an Azalea, of Viserai, piloted by Zach Bum, which is really cool, and a Dash. So if Matt Rogers would have taken this event, Oldheim would have gotten 300 living legend points over the weekend, and would only be so going into this weekend. Oldheim had 668 living legend points. It won the Pro Tour. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. I mean, you saw at the top. Won the Pro Tour, so it got 200 living legend points for that. So it's at 888. If Matt Rogers would have taken this calling, it would have been at 998. It would have been at 2 points off of living legend, but he lost to Alexi in the final. So that's really crazy. But yeah, we'll go over the calling and the battle hardened in a separate video. But yeah, looking at the top 8 for the Pro Tour. We ended up having Michael Fang take it on Oldheim. Michael Fang's one of the best Flesh and Blood players in the world, pretty consistently in discussions for most consistent player. You have Jake, who was pretty not new, but wasn't as notable as Michael Fang, but he played Azalea, and that matchup was really fun to watch. Jake had one, I guess, misplay. I mean, those guys have been playing for 3 days, and they're top 8 in the Pro Tour. So, me saying someone misplayed is kind of arrogant in my opinion. But Jake had a couple odd plays, but also had really one unlucky play with his Knock the Death Whistle. He blinded Azalea in a Knock the Death Whistle, which really just kind of blanked his turn. And he at the time that he did that, I think the life count was 23 life for Azalea to 19 life for Oldheim, and Michael Fang hadn't had an arsenal for 2 turns because Jake was keeping consistent pressure, and then Jake ended up just having that whiff turn, and Michael just took tempo and never gave it back. And Jake ran out of threats in the deck, and he eventually conceded with like 4 cards left in the deck. Michael had like 12, 13 life or something like that, and I don't even think Jake could count to that life total with what he had left in the deck, so that's kind of how that went. Then we had a Leximir, Andrew, and Maximilian. That game was insane. Max and Andrew both played amazing. Like, it wasn't that one person played bad or like had a misplay or anything like that. That was just 2 really good players going at it. However, Andrew was down 12 life to 1. 12 life to 1 in the Leximir. Now, I'm assure you 99 out of 100 players would say that's like death to the Lexi with 1, because the other Lexi can just put on so much pressure. But Andrew played, I'm pretty sure he plays Rainbow Winner's Bite. We'll know when the deck lists come out. He either runs 6 or 9 Winner's Bites in his list. And he had a double Winner's Bite into a Codex player or something like that, where he ripped 2 cards. He put out double Winner's Bite on a hand where Max had 4 reds. So Max had to get rid of 2 cards from hand. And then he hit Max with like an attack, I think, or something like that. Basically, it wiped Max's hand. And after that, Andrew is slowly able to take tempo back, and it got down 1 life to 1 life, and Andrew ended up taking it. That was one of the most fun games of top 8 I've watched in a while, and it was super awesome to watch. Then you had Jua. I'm just going to say Jua. If I'm mispronouncing it, I tremendously apologize. Played Matthew Folks. Really solid game. It's hard. Lexi has a decent matchup in a Dromai, but it's not easy. And Matthew kind of just didn't draw what he needed to draw. It wasn't that Matthew played poorly or anything like that. Obviously, he just kind of drew a little unfortunate on a couple turns, and Dromai was able to take tempo. And in that game, once the Dromai takes a ton of tempo, it's really hard to get it back. And then Mara played Brody. That was an awesome game to watch. Super big fan favorite game. It sucks that they had to play each other in round 1. They're really good friends. Mara has been she's been piloting Dromai since the hero came out. She is like the existential like Dromai player of Flesh and Blood. It's basically been stamped by James White as being the Dromai player of Flesh and Blood. And she had an amazing game against Brody. Super, super close, but she kind of took it. You can tell she's practiced the matchup a lot, the way she played, and she moved on and then ended up beating Andrew in the semifinals. So we had a Dromai versus an Oldheim final, and Michael just hot drew that final. I'm not taking anything away from Michael. Michael is one of the best players in the world, and he's Pro Tour champion. He drew quite literally insane turns and just blew Mara out of the water. There was nothing Mara could really do. It just sucked. It felt bad, but also it was really cool to see Michael, play really well and like close it out. But congrats to both of them, Mara and Michael, for getting in the finals. Mara deserves it. She's been going nuts with the hero for a while, and it's good that she finally gave Jeremiah the recognition that she's been wanting the hero to have. So yeah, really fun Pro Tour to watch. Super excited to see what comes up. I know that they announced some bunch of stuff for Nationals and Dusk Till Dawn, which we'll be doing in a video probably either tomorrow at the time you're watching this or the day after at the latest. Probably tomorrow. I'll put it out. But talking about Dusk Till Dawn, some of the previews that came out with the new Prism and the new Shadow Runeblade hero, and just kind of, really, really excited. Really awesome thematic and lore-based stuff that came out. They also revealed some stuff about serialized cards and stuff like that. So we'll get into all of that here this week on the channel. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts were on the Pro Tour. Let me know, kind of what your favorite part was. My favorite part was just seeing like really high-level gameplay, and the level of production that came from this event was super high. They did a really good job, as you can see, of like detail and everything. They did a little bit on each top 8 participant of the Pro Tour, which was really awesome to see. And they also went over the cosplay contest. What is this individual's name right here? I think it's Carolina. She had like a fully functioning cosplay outfit with like a spinning chainsaw and like all of her crazy stuff. So people were doing pretty nutty stuff with that. And it was just really, really fun to see. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts were on the Pro Tour. I was really excited to see it, really excited to see what the upcoming events hold in the upcoming set. But yeah, let me know what you think. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much. Have a nice day.